All right. Hey, what's going on, folks? My name is Blake Morse, and welcome to the second ever episode of Bloops and Bleeps. Today, we are going to be talking with an artist who has been a composer all his life and has now moved on to a unique and creative way to make music that combines Game Boys and very traditional instruments such as banjos. I am, of course, talking about the one and only Matthew Joseph Payne. Hello, Matthew Joseph Payne.
Hello, Blake.
How are you today?
I'm quite well.
Excellent.
How are you on your birthday today?
Oh, I'm feeling old. I'm feeling very, very old. I woke up this morning and I made grunts and groans. Things popped and creaked that had never popped and creaked before. So yeah, very cheerful. Happy birthday.
Sweet. Fantastic.
Yeah, so for those of you not familiar with Bloops and Bleeps, we are a show that is focused primarily on music and video games and where the two paths intertwine. If you are watching at home, you will get a chance to do a little Q&A with me and Mr. Payne a little bit later, so make sure you have your questions ready to go. We have some mods in the chat room that will be taking them down for us and bringing us the best of the best. Yes, if you ask something stupid, we probably will not say it on air. All right.
Or you can ask the stupid questions and I'll just give unrelated answers.
Yeah. There's no such thing. Actually, I hear there's no such thing as stupid questions. But
just the people that ask them?
Yeah. That's about it. All right. So, let's get into it. Before you rock out for us, we're going to chat a little bit about your musical history and how exactly you ended up here on this show. So, right off the bat, I want to know, who is Matthew Joseph Payne?
Matthew Joseph Payne is, I usually have everyone call me Matt. The story behind my name, despite being kind of typical sounding American white guy name, is really complicated in that I have a really complicated family history. My middle name comes from my father, who I met only recently. My first name came from my mom gave me my first name because she wanted me to have a multi-syllable name, but for some reason she gave me one that could be easily shortened. So for most of my life I've gone by Matt.
Was that like a form of rebellion?
Yeah, exactly. It was, and I've gone by Matt, and I ignored my middle name because I didn't know my dad, and I was like, why do I have this name? Well, since meeting my dad and my mother passed away a few years ago, and so I'm sort of rediscovering that part of my name, and using it as a stage name has been almost a cathartic experience. So
it's empowering you. You're taking your name back. You're owning it.
Exactly.
I'm
really rediscovering. I've had the opportunity to do that. It's been great.
That's awesome, man. So I mean, what is your show exactly? I mean, for those people that are just tuning in and like just because they want to see a show about music, like, and don't know anything about you, like where did this come from?
Right now, the Matthew Joseph Payne show is just me solo with my pre-programmed Game Boys, and I've been playing banjo and I've been playing a baritone guitar, and it draws a lot from sort of folky stuff, but it also draws from doom metal, and chiptune kind of works into that. And it's three genres that I almost put them together because I didn't think it made any sense. So I thought it would be a great challenge to try to see if I could get them to go together. And so far it seems to be working.
Nice. Now, yeah, that is kind of a unique thing. You don't usually see a couple Game Boys on stage with a banjo.
Yeah. In fact, Bud Melvin is the only other chiptune artist I know of that uses a banjo with any kind of regularity. And he's great, but the way he uses it is so different from the way that I use it. And meanwhile, we're the only two I know of.
You're the only two banjo innovators in the chiptune scene
apparently,
right now. Do you think that's going to take off? Do you think we'll see?
I don't know. I mean, Bud's been doing it for a long time, and it took a long time for me to come around. So
let's see. What would that be? Blue chips?
Oh, yeah, maybe. I guess.
Blue chips.
It sounds as much like a cop dramedy as it does.
Yeah. Or, well, if you throw in the doom rock with it, you could be Doom Blue Chips.
I've been just calling it chiptune doom folk, but then some famous band right now decided that their music was doom folk, and I was like, you stole my genre. Because I've been calling, before I added the chiptune element, I've been calling my music doom folk a lot for a while, and then they came along, these Johnny-come-latelys came along and
They just
sold 5 million times as many records as I did, and then stole my genre. So, who is it? That vaguely Irish-sounding band.
Oh, is it Mumford and Sons?
Mumford and Sons.
Are they doom folk?
They claimed that apparently in some interview they claimed that their next album was doom folk.
I don't know. They sound kind of like emo.
Well, but I don't think it's. I think they're talking about music they haven't released yet.
Okay, so that might be doomy.
But they also may not really understand the context of the term doom, the way that I understand it.
All right. So what is doom to you?
Doom to me stems from bands like Sun and the darker side of bands like Boris. Boris is a huge influence to me. A Japanese band that plays. They kind of came from sort of an early like Black Sabbath-y metal era, but do all this kind of textural, really experimental music with it. And some of it is, the core of it is just like playing a guitar chord for minutes at a time maybe, and just this like huge enveloping sound, and it's almost textural as much as anything else. But for me, that it's taking that as a starting point.
Nice.
But like Sun plays with like hooded robes, and they're super theatrical, which is something that's important to me also. Nice.
So what are your theatrics like? Because I don't see a robe or anything like that.
That's still an element of this particular act that I'm developing. Because as you know, like the Glowing Stars, we've worn matching outfits for the entire life of the band, and I find it really important to have a consistent look for acts, because I think that it helps tell the story. Whatever the story, like if you're on stage performing, you're telling a story, and how you dress and how everything looks helps to tell that.
So it's almost like in cartoons, like the main characters are always wearing the same thing no matter when you see them.
So it's really important to me that it be obvious that things are. I almost want to look like a one-man traveling theater. So I've got which right now really just means, I've got the burlap amp, the
tweed
cabinet
cover.
It's actually burlap.
Oh.
I built that cover for the amp because I actually got it with nothing, and no speakers or anything in it.
You got to put some hobo stamps on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the next step.
Yeah, I'm slowly working myself towards a consistent thing, but this version of this project is still very nascent.
All right. Well, so you had the Doom Folk going, you had it down, and then you decided to bring in the Game Boys. Now, where did you get this interest in using Game Boys? Like, what was your first experience?
Someone introduced LSDJ, the Game Boy sequencer software that a lot of people use, to me when it was pretty new. I had a cartridge that had version 1.2 on it, I think, that I actually got from the creator, and I used it for a while. This was in 2001, maybe 2001, and I fell in love with it, but I started doing other things. I did a few songs on it. I still have my first chiptune somewhere, my first LSDJ somewhere, but and I used it as a backing track for a song that I performed for a while using a circuit bent Child's Toy. But then it kind of dropped off to the side for me for a while. And then after I joined a punk band called Sputterdoll and met Lizzie. And when we decided we wanted to do something video game related, I pulled the LSDJ cartridge out of the closet and said, "Oh, hey, why don't we try this? Like, I haven't done this in a while." But when I sat down and looked at it again, it all clicked in ways that it hadn't clicked the first time, and I've become really passionate about it.
Nice. So it all just kind of congealed at the perfect moment, like it just appeared in front of you, like it had never had done before. Wow, that's crazy. So, like, what is LSDJ? I guess would be a good question to ask, just in case people aren't familiar with it that are watching.
So the Game Boy has a 4-channel synthesizer built into it. All of the music that you hear and the sound effects when you're playing a game is generated live by the game. What LSDJ allows you to do, and once you install it on a flash cartridge and you put the flash cartridge in the Game Boy, it allows you to harness all 4 of those channels and program your own music from scratch into the Game Boy. So there's no, you're not using samples of video game music, you're not using recordings that are edited. You're making your own music from scratch. You have to design the sounds every single time. For every song, you have to make new patches, essentially. And LSDJ gives you a visual interface on the Game Boy that you actually interact with through the Game Boy buttons to program the music.
Man. So how time-consuming is that? How meticulous do you have to be in order to work with these things?
It depends on how deep you want to get into it. Some songs, I've had equivalent songs take as little as a few hours and as much as half a day or longer to put together.
Just the programming aspect, not even creating the song itself.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes creating the song is part of the programming. Sometimes you sit down and you start filling with an idea, and then the music starts to come out of that. Or sometimes you have a song ahead of time that you want to put into this format. But either way, yeah, it can take a pretty wide variety of time. It just depends on how. A big part of it is getting comfortable with the interface.
Nice.
Because the interface can be a big
pain in the
roadblock.
Is it it's intimidating? Yeah, I imagine having to work with something where you're like doing every single noise that's coming out of it, and you have to program each one to get a little meticulous.
Well, and if you're used to sitting down at a computer where you have a keyboard and a mouse and an MPC controller and a big keyboard and all this stuff and all these different input and output devices, and then there's a bunch of samples given to you off the bat, and you can work with those samples, and but here you have to do everything from scratch, and you have very little input ability. Yeah, it's a huge shift. It can be a huge shift.
Yeah, this is sounding intimidating to me.
Yeah, well, it's worth it. Like when you get to the end and you can press start on this thing and it plays back like all of this work that you've put in. It's rewarding.
Worth it.
It's really rewarding.
You go. It's like seeing your child walk for the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, before you got into the chip tuning and all that, you mentioned you met your partner for the Glowing Stars, Lizzie, in another punk band. What were you doing musically before you ended up here?
I started out pretty traditionally. I learned classical piano when I was a kid and got into traditional music theory that way. But I had a piano teacher who, at a certain point, we kind of stopped practicing things we were supposed to be working on during lessons, and he started showing me. We got an avalanche over there.
Uh-oh. Whoa. Hey there.
He started showing me 70s progressive rock.
Nice.
I got really into Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I got really into Yes. And
nice.
And somehow that led me to. I came to a realization that you could take the intricacies of classical music and complex interactions between instruments or synthesizer voices, as the case may be, and you could have them be in rock music. You could have the energy and the power behind rock music at the same time. And later I found bands like Sleepytime Gorilla Museum and Mr. Bungle and bands like that have been doing stuff like this.
Bending genres, blending things together, changing their instrumentation.
And having the guts to be willing to write out sheet music but play it on distorted guitars and have that kind of energy and stage presence.
So kind of like because nowadays it's like you're either a rock star or you're a composer.
Right.
Yeah, you can't do both.
It's hard to cross. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're too technical as a guitarist, people are gonna be like, oh, that guitarist is just kind of a douchebag, snooty jerk.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, in some ways, punk rock was a response to this progressive rock thing, where they saw rock music as becoming less of a thing of the people and more of a thing of studied musicians. But it's like it can be both. It doesn't have to be one thing or another. I'm perfectly when I watch Boris play. I mean, they're technically adept, but they're not sitting down and writing out ridiculous. They're not playing anything fast at all. But it sounds fantastic because they're very musical. But when I watch Sleepytime Gorilla Museum play, it's a very different kind of thing, but it's still fantastic. They're still great musicians.
Yeah, there's different things to like about different bands. Right. Yeah, totally.
Right.
So all right, you became a classical composer. Did you play in a lot of bands leading up to this?
Yeah, I was in, I was in a couple groups with my friend Peter Lim, which is actually, I was in a band called Tensegrity 9 with this guy Peter, which is the band I was in when I met Lizzie. And actually the Tensegrity 9 album just became free on Bandcamp. That's when I really started to get my performance, my like theatrical thing. We would do choreographed dances, and it was the two of us, and we were switching instruments all the time, and we really had a very particular thing going.
And a cool, unique dynamic.
Yeah. I was in that group for a while. For a while, I was concurrently in Sputtered All, the punk band with Lizzie. And I was in a pretty normal kind of rock three-piece. We were writing music that was heading into the direction of more composed, but the band broke up for various reasons. The band was called False Protocol. My phone is being really quiet.
All right.
Anyway, and I've been in and out of some other things. I was playing for a long time with this group, the Family Crest, which is like an orchestral rock band essentially, and they have kind of an open membership, and nice. I was playing accordion with them. So yeah, I've had a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things, to kind of pull influences in from a lot of different places.
Nice. So did you start off with piano and go from there?
Yeah, I started off with piano, and then when he started doing the progressive rock thing, when my teacher started doing the progressive rock thing with me, I started playing organ, and I started playing synthesizers, learning how to program synthesizers, and it led to this interest in electronic music. And I went through that for a long time and learning a lot about programming drum machines and programming synthesizers, and then it kind of started to come full circle, and I wanted to start to play the trombone more, and I wanted to start to play the banjo, and mixing these things as much as possible.
Nice. So how many instruments do you actually play now?
The short answer typically is that I don't play woodwinds and I don't play bowed strings.
All right.
I mostly play trombone, keyboards, and those are my 1 and 2. I also obviously play drums, and I play banjo, but I'm very self-taught on the banjo. So. Yeah.
So, well, you play banjo well enough that people won't know that you don't play banjo.
Exactly.
There you go. All right. So, but back to the technological stuff. So the Game Boys, like, how many Game Boys do you actually go through doing this, or are these two fellas here like the ones that you've been using since you began?
It's almost kind of embarrassing. You can show it off. It's fine. You can even turn it on if you want. It's almost kind of embarrassing. So I've got these two guys. These two kind of matching clear Game Boys are I put together just for this project. The Glowing Stars there's these two clear pink Game Boys where I dyed the shells that have pitch controls that Lizzie uses to play as like a little synthesizer with the D-pad. And then there's 3 Game Boys that look much more traditional that are the ones I use on stage for playback. I have a green Game Boy that I use as that I carry around and use as my programming Game Boy. And then I have a box of Game Boys.
What?
Well, part of it is I've done some modding to sell for people. I've done some trading to people who want a Game Boy and they have something else that I want, and I'll make something for them that they can use. Nice. And part of it is just to have backups, because sometimes they die. And I need to be able to put something together really quickly to use.
So where do you get them from? Where do you get a box of Game Boys, man? Like, that's
flea
insane.
Markets, eBay, thrift stores, people who have them and aren't using them anymore, just all kinds of places. I go to someone's house and they have one in their parents' desk drawer, and I'm like, oh, are you using that? Like, do you want something for that? And suddenly I have an instrument.
Nice.
You need to be
that's rad.
Quiet.
Oh, your phone's just trying to get in on the...
I know.
Wants to be famous.
Trying to get in on the...
Your phone just wants to be all over the internet with us. But it probably already is if it's an iPhone.
Yeah, I guess it is all over.
Man, so, I mean, were you just interested in Game Boys for music, or are you a gamer? Like, did you grow up playing Game Boys? Did you have your original Game Boy when you started doing this?
I did, actually. I was given Lizzie and I both found photos of us with our first Game Boys. When we were, I guess I was like 6 maybe, and she would have been like 5, or I was 7. I don't know. I don't remember how old she is. And I know mine because I drew stuff all over it with a fine point Sharpie, and most of it's come off, but there's enough left that I can tell. But it's already been taken apart, and the parts are all over like 4 different Game Boys.
Oh man.
So I'm not that. I'm nostalgic, but I'm not that attached to a particular object, I guess.
Yeah. So I imagine you grew up a gamer though, right?
I
If you
did,
had
and
the original Game
I
Boy.
did, and I didn't. I would, and still do get into very particular things.
Yeah.
I think gaming as an art form, games as an art form, is a vital and new and important thing. But lately I've been playing Portal.
Nice, dude.
But that's like it.
Yeah.
I haven't really been doing anything else.
Wait, Portal 1 or Portal 2?
I've been playing Portal 2, but I played through both series. Actually, it was a great. I've got an 11-month-old, my son, and when he was really young, he would fall asleep on me all the time, and I played all the way through Portal 1, Portal 2 during his naps.
Wow.
Which was fun.
Go.
It was great. It was a great thing.
Do you think that's was he in the room? Do you think that might have been affecting him psychologically?
I don't know. Maybe he's gonna.
Is he gonna have some issues with his mom later on because of GLaDOS?
Let's just say maybe he'll be a big Valve fan. Let's think positive.
There you go.
But I can see that. I can see exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Man.
I don't know how much he would identify with Shell.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he would.
Yeah. He's pretty talkative.
He's chatty.
Yeah.
He's not really saying. He's not saying words yet. I mean, he's 11 months old, but
he's vocal.
Yeah, he's vocal, so he's not like Shell.
Yeah, there you go. Right off the bat.
I play a lot of retro games. I love the Mega Man series for Game Boy. Still really into that. Mega Man 4 for Game Boy was my first big
that was your game.
Video games. Okay, I get this now. You know.
Yeah.
And I was also really into the Marathon series on the Mac, which was kind of the precursor to Halo in a lot of ways.
Yeah. That is a very famous series.
Yeah.
So always Game Boy, like any other 8-bit
Game Boy was my first console. I rented a Sega Genesis once when I was a kid. I don't know if anyone else remembers renting game consoles
from a Blockbuster video.
Blockbuster. It was exactly that.
They came in the big ass cases.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, big black case that locked shut. And it only comes with one controller plus you pay extra, and you have to rent the game separately. I really wanted to play Aladdin on the Genesis.
That was a really good game.
A great game.
That was a really good game. I will back you up on this.
Yeah, they don't make good movie property games anymore. I don't.
Not
think,
really.
For the most
No,
part,
the Wolverine game was pretty good for the new Wolverine. You never played it.
What console is it on? I don't even know.
It was on Xbox.
All right, yeah,
or
I don't know.
PS3 or whatever.
Me,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they're decent, but usually they're just total crap.
Yeah.
Absolute crap. But that's not really off topic. Do you have a favorite video game song? Like or a favorite composer or anything like that?
So I've actually been listening a lot to the Portal 2 soundtrack. I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's a fantastic soundtrack. And actually I was reading an article about how he used plugged chip sounds to kind of call on the sounds of a lot of these chips that were in early video game consoles.
Yeah.
And part of the idea, he said, was that he wanted to suggest that Aperture Science used these cheap chips to make their little alarms and everything around.
Nice.
Are you serious? How do you not know that I'm on the internet right now?
It's a smartphone. Come on,
really.
we should know this shit.
Anyway, I think so. I loved that. The music in Portal 2 is fantastic.
Dude, you don't need to tell me. I have a Portal 2 ringtone. Like I've got the music
great.
when my phone rings. So
That's
yeah.
Great. The one of my top songs, and actually when we were on, I don't remember the name of the show, but they stopped doing it with Veronica Belmont. I played this as an example. It's cool. Thank you. I forgot the name of the show. Mega Man 4 for Game Boy, Napalm Man. Fantastic track. And Falls Protocol, my three-piece rock band, we put together a cover of it and never got to perform it.
Aww.
But still have it's notated. I have it notated, so I'm trying to get someone else to play it, perhaps.
Yeah, dude, I think you have the ability to perform this song if you actually want to. Yeah.
See, but that's the thing is it's like to do it like this with the Game Boy is kind of silly to me. It's like I'll just listen to the original game. I mean, a lot of people do covers on chip, like they'll move a song to a different console or they'll do so it's a little different. And I think that's really interesting. But to do like a mini bosses thing or an Advantage thing and play it on real instruments, I think is always a very cool and worthwhile thing.
Yeah. I like the crossover between the covers, like the live bands with guitars doing chiptune songs and the chiptunes artists doing songs by other stuff. Like that the Daft Punk tribute album. I was really into that.
Well, and there was a really great Nine Inch Nails tribute that just went out. That was who did it? I can't remember who did it, but they did a fantastic job. They used a variety of consoles to make all the tracks on Pretty Hate Machine.
Yeah,
and it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I'm really digging that sort of trend of like tribute albums by chiptune artists.
It's funny too because there's parts of the chiptune scene that are kind of against that, that think that doing covers of non-chiptune music in a chiptune style belittles chiptune in some way. Part of it, I think, is just the reaction that like there was a really awful set of Radiohead covers that was popular on YouTube recently.
Yeah.
It was like a full run of Kid A and a full run through of OK Computer. And they were just like, there's very little thought put into them. It almost sounded like someone that just found MIDI files of all the songs and ran them through Plug Chip Sounds. And it got like attention on a bunch of major websites. And
I think I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it was really bad. And it's things like that make people react to it poorly. But they can be done so well that...
Like, people just need to realize that they can actually orchestrate stuff with it instead of just being like, oh, this sounds like Super Mario. Exactly. I'm going to put this on the internet now.
Exactly. If I listen to a cover and it has, like, the Super Mario jump sound or the coin sound, I'm done. I just turn it off. It's like you're clearly working from samples for a kitsch purpose. Like, you're trying to draw attention. You're not actually trying to make good music.
Yeah. I know for me, a lot of it, I mean, you're always... It's tough not to pay homage with this, with chiptunes, though, I think.
No, of course. Yeah. You just have to do it well.
Yeah.
Well,
no matter what, you gotta make it tasty. You gotta make it your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to put some heart and thought into it, and
you
can't
come
up with something that's unique.
You can't just fart on a snare and say that's art.
Totally.
When plenty of people do.
You can fart on a snare and call it art.
Yeah.
But I won't like it.
Speaking of farting on snare drums, you don't do that with your rig, but let's tell us a little bit about your rig, man. You a baritone guitar, which you don't see very often, a banjo, your burlap amp, which we've talked about a little bit, and then you've got this whole crazy schnoz going on here, which you can't really see the effects pedals right now, but when we're actually going live with the music, you'll be able to see them.
I've got, for a while I had, there's a great device called an Arduino Boy that uses an Arduino to create a MIDI sync signal from or to the Game Boy. And for a while I had it synced with my delay pedal, which is MIDI capable. But it became kind of unnecessary, so I stopped using that. But I've got here a tuner and a fuzz box that I built. It's actually it's a complicated looking pedal board, but the main thing is that there's a little mixer. There's a little mixer on it. But the baritone guitar is something that I just needed to get deeper than when I was playing the traditional guitar. And for a while I was playing, I have a 4-string bass that's tuned down like a 5-string bass. Okay. Like the bottom.
The low B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which I love. I still play that instrument a lot, but it's very heavy. It's made of aluminum and lucite. There's photos of me playing it at the first couple Matthew Joseph Payne shows.
Oh man, I wish you'd brought some of those photos with you. It's you never know.
Yeah, it's also it's just horrendously heavy, and I play it through an SVT, which is also horrendously heavy. So I've trimmed back a little bit, but the baritone guitar just allows me to get, and also all the songs are written.
It was easier to like make it. It was easier to make this lighter than to get to the gym and work out, so everything wouldn't be as heavy.
Precisely. All right. The banjo is a thing that was custom built by another banjo player for himself, and I wound up having the opportunity to buy it. It's made from parts of banjos. And
so it's a Franken banjo?
Pretty much. And it's got the extra 2 tuners on the... Actually, I'll just grab it. Yeah. The extra 2... I'm attached to a thing.
Technical stuff.
So it's got these extra 2 tuners on top that change the tuning from a G tuning to a D tuning.
That's insane.
I only use it between songs currently, but a lot of like bluegrass guys will use it in lieu of retuning, because then it goes back consistently every time.
Yeah.
It's also got the sort of capo hooks on the 5th string, actually, which are...
Okay, your banjo is... You officially have one of the most insane banjos I've ever seen.
Yeah, so if I... When I go into the D tuning, the 5th string can follow.
I've never been so jealous of a banjo in my life. I like this. I like this setup now. I feel like it's just old-timey Bloops and Bleeps with Blake and Matt.
Old-timey Bloops and Bleeps.
Yeah. For those of you just tuning in, this is Bloops and Bleeps, a show about music and video games. I'm your host, Blake Morse. And, of course, we are interviewing good old-fashioned Matthew Joseph Payne today. Yeehaw. Just down-home country style. That's how we do it here.
Well, you know, I work with them Game Boys.
Programming them their synthesizers with their music. So, so let's talk about your other band, the Glowing Stars, which is pretty much just you and one other person. You've got a very minimalist thing going on here.
You know,
with band
being
members.
in duets is great. Being in duets is great because you have energy. Like when I'm playing solo, like it's like I have to really work to keep the energy up. But when I'm in a duet, I have someone to feed off of. But once you have 3 people, scheduling rehearsals gets twice as hard. And then then I was in a band recently, a great band, All My Pretty Ones, that had 7 people.
All My Pretty Ones. Oh my God, I've done a show with them before,
really?
like years ago.
Yeah, well, the band's changed a lot, and I actually joined that band as the drummer. And then I wound up doing so much other stuff that we had to get a drummer.
Yeah. Oh my God. I wonder if you were at the show we did. This was years ago. It was in Oakland at that old art place. You know, Kate Dunphy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was managing the band.
Yeah. She booked my band Apple Pie Hopes to play with them. It was very folksy. I think I think Union or Ukulele was playing that night too.
Kind of rings a bell.
No, it was a backyard like barbecue thing the living room. That's where it was.
Absolutely. No, wait, no, I never played any of the living room shows. There was a backyard barbecue show that I remember that was in Oakland. That was, there were a couple. There was one that was like across from Mama Buzz. There's another one.
It wasn't that one.
That was like.
It was like down further near the Ashby BART station.
Okay, I think I remember that maybe.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Well, small freaking world, dude. Hey, that was our little moment. That really had nothing to do. That wasn't for you, internet.
It was related. I was in this band, All My Pretty Ones. It had 7 people in it, and scheduling rehearsals is insane.
It's a pain in the ass.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And but with Lizzie and I, we pretty much go like, oh, we got some shows. We probably rehearse. When are you free? And then we just kind of put it together.
Yeah.
We actually started the band just sending stuff to each other over the internet, even though we're not that far from each other. It was just easier to be like, here's some Game Boy tracks. Here, I recorded some guitar over it. Okay, here, I played some drums over it, So
it's just kind of a back and forth, like when you compose.
Yeah.
Like, what's it like composing? Is it always different composing for your solo stuff? Like,
well, yeah, this project, a bunch of the music that I have here right now predates chiptune as a part of my solo stuff. So I've redone it to work in this setting. So a lot of that was written, like I have a couple songs that were actually written for one of my bands to play, and then I have a couple songs that were written for other ensembles to play, and then I have a bunch of stuff that was written on the Game Boy specifically for this setup. Writing for the Glowing Stars, we've always had a consistent idea of how we want the layout to be. This Matthew Joseph Payne changes all the time. I still do shows sometimes with no Game Boy. I'll play an acoustic show or something. Nice. But Glowing Stars has always been like, there's the Game Boy, we know the role that it plays, it's filling in for the bassist, and it's filling in for the keyboardist, and it's kind of the second guitar also. Nice. And so,
it makes it easier to define all the parts.
We have a clear idea of what we're going for when we start writing a song usually.
You're focused on the prize, eye on the prize, 1,000 points of light everywhere. You're good to go. That's awesome, man. So, really quickly, I just want to mention that if you have any questions for Mr. Matthew Joseph Payne, now would be your time to start putting them in the forums, the chat rooms out there, inside this tiny little box. There's millions of people. There's millions of people talking on the internet. If you can believe it, they're all in there. That's right. So, please send us your questions, and my mods will pick the best ones, and they will hand them to me or put them on a sign. I'm really not sure how they're going to get them to me. Maybe through telepathic message because they're in another room right now and I cannot see them. But they will be handing them to me. and then we will be asking them to Matthew right here on the show before he rocks out live just for you. So before we get to the user questions, or the viewer questions, I want to know, man, like, where can people see you if they're not watching you on Bloops and Bleeps? How do people get a hold of you, like, on the internet and stuff like that?
MatthewJosephPayne.com is the easiest thing. Blog, post all my stuff, show list, simple stuff. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm Kinetic Turtle on Twitter, which I've actually been really active with lately. But you can find that through MatthewJosephPayne.com too. So just go to MatthewJosephPayne.com.
I think MatthewJosephPayne.com is your one-stop.
It's pretty much the one-stop shop for all Matthew Joseph Payne related things.
Yes. Are there Matthew Joseph Payne stickers, albums, CDs?
You know, there should be. All I have is these little download cards. I have a thing about CDs. We don't have to get into it. I don't like them.
Well,
you might have noticed Glowing Stars has never released a CD. It's all we've got special edition Game Boy cards, and we've got download cards, and we've got digital things. But
special edition Game Boy cards.
And we may be announcing something new soon. That's another format of music.
Another format of music.
Some people really like that. Some people can't play at their house. Just throwing that out there. Maybe not. I've released cassette tapes as Matthew Joseph Payne. I may do that again.
What about Laserdisc?
Laserdisc, I would love to do that, except how in the hell would you press them?
I have no idea.
I don't know how you even do that.
I don't know how you would print a Laserdisc at this point in time, but maybe you could.
I can try.
Yeah. What about shows? You got any shows coming up?
I'm about to announce a bunch of shows, and I wanted to have dates to announce right now, but I'm not quite ready. But they'll be big.
All right. I know. I can think of at least one show coming up, and I just want to plug it.
That I am not playing at it, but the Glowing Stars is playing at it, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, really? You're not?
It.
How is that possible?
Well, no, I personally am playing in the Glowing
Stars. Oh, you're in the Glowing Stars, but Matthew Joseph Payne, the solo act.
Matthew Joseph Payne is not playing.
That's right.
At California Extreme.
California Extreme.
California Extreme.
The largest expo of video games and pinball machines ever. Sunday. No, that's what? That's going to be July 28th, right?
July.
July 28th. You'll be playing with my band, Cartoon Violence, which I'm excited. Check out at cartoonviolencemusic.com. Look, we have stickers.
Wow.
That's how cool we are.
Look at that.
Shameless self-promotion right here. From the host. I feel vain.
Have a little shame.
I feel a little dirty. I think I need to take a swig off of this.
All I have is... Wait. Oh.
Yep. What do we have from Matthew Joseph Payne?
Look, I can show this. It's like my album art.
There you go.
It's on there. Done by the fantastic Kef from a faraway land.
Nice.
But
Kef. Huh?
You go capital K, lowercase e, 2 capital Fs. I don't know what it means.
I don't even want to take a stab at that one. Yeah. So let's see. Anything else? We got the shows. Mm-hmm. We got the music. Everybody knows where they can check you out. What if they want to check out the Glowing Stars?
TheGlowingStars.com. It's just that easy.
Wow.
It's just that easy, man.
That is quite simple.
3 seconds registering URLs, man, does a lot.
All right. Well, now it's time. It is time for your questions, audience members. Audience members on the internet. If you have questions for Matthew Joseph Payne, now is your chance to ask them. I don't really know if anybody's modding out there. Oh, we have a question from the other audience, the local audience. Are you playing PAX?
The Glowing Stars is playing PAX. I don't know if I am or am not taking Matthew Joseph Payne to PAX.
But you yourself will be.
I personally will be at PAX playing with the Glowing Stars at the least.
Nice. Will that be at a PAX show, like their big music expo?
I know that we're not playing the big PAX show.
Don't.
It's complicated. We're not getting into it. Yeah. But we may be doing the PAX Jam Space if they have it, and we are definitely playing another show that I don't know the venue information for off the top of my head. But there's a show booked with Crash Faster and Glowing Stars and Awkward Terribles coming back from Milwaukee, and someone else is playing.
All right. Well, that one will be easy to figure out because we'll all be in Seattle.
Yep.
Yes. So
I'm
easy enough.
looking forward to it.
Somewhere in Seattle during PAX, you can check out the Glowing Stars with Mr. Matthew Joseph Payne. Let's see. Can we open that door really quick? That would be fantastic. Do we have any questions from the audience?
What's your favorite Game Boy game?
What's your favorite Game Boy game?
Well, my favorite is Mega Man 4 for Game Boy, Tetris is a close second, which is kind of a boring answer, unfortunately. I remember being absolutely obsessed with the Home Alone 2 game.
What?
It's horrible. It is such a bad game. But it was the first game that was given to me.
Aw. You can't really complain about that.
What's your favorite Game Boy accessory?
Yeah, favorite Game Boy. Dude, did you have the big ass thing with like the
I had
magnifying glass, the
thing with the
speakers?
magnifying glass, the speakers, the Handy Boy, it was called. And the clip-on thing that goes on the top that gives you a little joystick.
The joystick, yeah.
I had one of those, and thankfully I finally got rid of it.
You got rid of it because if you had two of them.
Yeah, two. See,
That
what am
would
I going
make
to do with
sense.
the speakers? What am I going to do with that? You know, like as soon as I hit play and it's coming through the PA, it's like...
Fill it full of LED lights. Get rid of the speakers and just flashing LED lights, or lasers that blind your audience. That is what's missing from your Game Boy.
There's more
the ability to blind your audience.
I've been... they're not called Starscream anymore. Now they're called Infinity Shred. They do a great synchronized visuals show with their music. I've been wanting to do something like that and just haven't had the time to get it together yet.
All right.
But I can blind my audience with that.
There you go.
Working in that direction.
All right, we have another question from the local audience.
Are you into fighting games?
Are you into fighting games?
No, I'm not. I'm just really not.
You're a lover, not a fighter.
Yeah, I'm into loving games. What?
You want to fight about it?
Do you want to fight about it?
You were at my last show, not my last show, but you were at the Hemlock show.
Yeah, I was at the Hemlock Tower show.
Do you remember what happened during my third song?
No. What happened during your
were
third?
you-
I might
were
not
you too
even
far
been
back?
in the room, dude.
I don't know,
I don't
'cause,
even want to. Dude, that bouncer that night could suck my balls. Let me just say that about that show. Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know about this.
Yeah. I had trouble getting in. Like I was supposed to, cause like the mini bosses were supposed to be crashing right here, and they're like, oh, we'll put you on the guest list. So I get there, mini bosses aren't there. I wait around, they're still not there, and then I'm like, screw it, I'll go and pay for it, right? So like I go back, I ask the doorman, I'm like, where's an ATM? He's like, right over there. I go and get the money. He's like, sold out, bro. And I was like, dude, you just sent me over to the ATM, asshole. You just cost me like $3. Just tell me, like, you couldn't say that before I went in. And he's like, I'll tell you what, bro. I'm going to let you go in, bro. And he's like this fucking, he's like this 50-year-old, fat piece of crap wearing an Iron Maiden shirt who just, like, his heyday is long gone. I don't know.
Hope he's not watching.
Maybe he will. I don't know. Well, if he is watching, he could do a better job in general.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of that night. But what happened during your third song?
There was a guy, I was talking with someone about art on the internet that day, and we had come to the conclusion that we couldn't come to any conclusions together and that we should meet up and wrestle instead. And I tried to get him to come to the show so that we could wrestle during one of the songs, but he didn't make it. So I wrestled with some other people.
Nice.
During a couple of my songs.
So maybe you don't like fighting. Maybe you do like fighting games, but only real life fighting games.
Yeah, I think that might be accurate.
You need the adrenaline, the danger running through your veins.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. There was just a fighting game tournament, right?
Yeah, Evo's going on this weekend right
still
now.
Come down to Mad Dog tomorrow, Sunday, watch the stream.
Yeah, there will be lots of live streaming all this weekend of tons of stuff. We're probably being beat out by a bunch of kids playing Street Fighter right now. Like everybody that would have watched the show today is watching kids play Street Fighter. Yeah, which is great for me. Well, Mr. Payne, I cannot wait to see you perform, man. Thank you so much for talking with us. We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, Matthew Joseph Payne is going to rock live for you beautiful, beautiful folks on Twitch TV. All right. Woo!
Oh, I'm peeking the mic.
Are we clear? We're not clear. Whoa, hey, people on Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, Matthew Joseph Payne.
other city should act instantly when an attack is threatened. Show confidence within you means success in the survival of any weapon. Knowledge like this will give you a feeling of security. And you will survive.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I guess if you're just tuning in, it's a live stream, right? My name is Matthew Joseph Payne. The music I'm playing is the music of Matthew Joseph Payne. It's typically how that works, I guess. I mean, there's cover bands. I'm not one of them. I want to give a big shout out to my backing band, the Nintendo Game Boy. Yeah, the Game Boy does a fantastic job. Makes less mistakes than I do. The Game Boy's like the cheat, it can't talk. This next song is relatively new.
Interwoven with many other political motives are two closely related passions, to which human beings are regrettably prone. I mean, fear.
I just remembered something. Hey, someone was gonna loan me a capo. Did that ever happen? We probably should have. This is not happening.
Hey, Blako, capos? It should be in the junk drawer with all the other weird random stuff. Searching the junk drawer.
Things were going so well.
Junk drawer. All I'm finding is junk.
Can someone stand up here and just hold their hand right here?
I've got a capo and a guitar bag somewhere. Where's my guitar bag? Alright, guitar bag. Yeah, right?
All right, you know, maybe I'm gonna play a different song right now.
We'll find the capo. Sir? I believe there's a capo somewhere in this bag. There might be a capo in this bag.
Well,
I believe a lot of crazy things.
while the capo hunt continues, I'm gonna play the song with a capo. All right. Well. That's your job, not mine. Sorry. All right, now I have a capo.
Interwoven with many other political motives are two closely related passions, to which human beings are regrettably prone. I mean, fear and hate. It is normal to hate what we fear, and it happens frequently, though not always, that we fear what we hate. Much that passes as idealism is disguised hatred or disguised love of power. When you see large masses of men swayed by what appear to be noble motives, it is as well to look below the surface and ask yourself what it is that makes these motives effective.
Thanks.
Yeah, capo.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the last second capo. Wait, whose capo is it actually? Well, thank you.
I'm gonna hop back on my banjo here. Yeehaw.
Play you a little ditty. Play a little ditty on the banjo. A little ditty that someone else wrote.
Is it a P Diddy?
There's a little, no. This is not a P ditty. This is a K ditty. This is a Kate Bush ditty.
When I needed to possess you,
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Nintendo Game Boy. I'm just going to assume that everybody on the internet is giving it up. Oh, that's good. Thanks, internet. I'm going to play a new song. Happy birthday, I guess. I don't know. I guess that's a birthday thing. Yeah! Yeah! So we'll see how it goes. I'll spare the internet the music theory lesson that the song usually comes along with.
From underground, upon the surface, on our waters, Atlas warhead missiles blast off to strike back.
Thank you, guys. I'm gonna play one last song.
One last song. Without a capo.
Flying without a capo. You're a madman.
Just rocking without a capo, man.
Insane.
Crazy insane. Was not no capo.
Man was not meant to rock without capos.
Especially on a baritone guitar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, give it up for Mr. Matthew Joseph Payne. All right, I unplugged the mic there for a second. All right, and thank you very much, people on the internet, for tuning in to another wonderful episode of Bloops and Bleeps. Mr. Matthew Joseph Payne, if people want to check your stuff out outside of our awesome show, where can they go?
Please check me out at MatthewJosephPayne.com. Payne is spelled Payne, Matthew with 2 T's. You need to check that out. Otherwise, it's in the title of the video you're watching probably, so you can check there.
Exactly. And please be sure to tune into our weekly video game news show, The Week in Geek, right here every Friday at noon and for the latest video game news and all that good stuff. And until next time, we will see you later. Bye-bye.